after a Devin Booker injury and a not-so-great Game 2 from Chris Paul. Fans, media members, and even players like Draymond Green were clamoring about how the Pelicans had the best two players in this series. While there's already apparent ludicrousy in that statement, Paul made it seem even more ridiculous last night, going out for 28 points, 14 assists, with 0 turnovers on 65 true shooting percentage. Paul was absolutely spectacular, and has been absolutely spectacular this entire series, averaging 25 and 13 assists with only 2 turnovers in the entire series on a staggering 68% true shooting percentage. But what he did specifically in the last 6 minutes of this game truly showcased why Chris Paul is the point guard. On this first play out of a left side pick and roll, Chris Paul gets to his usual spot on the elbow and knocks down a jumper. It's become almost automatic, and he's left us wondering how he does it at age 36, but part of the magic is clearly displayed in this play. Paul freezes the defender who's helping at the nail by looking at the corner shooter, and then turns for an easy jumper. It's so automatic for him because it's almost muscle memory at this point. If you're Alvarado, you know you can't help off of the shooter because of Paul's skip passing. If you're Valanciunas, you know that you can't play too high on Chris Paul because that could end up in a lob pass to Aiden. And if you're Ingram, you're already lagging behind the play and you don't want to get trapped behind Chris Paul, who's a 90% free throw shooter at this stage of his career. It's a win-win-win for the Suns, and all of that is created through Chris Paul's own genius. Here, the Pelicans run drop coverage on Chris Paul for the second time in a row late in the game, and it's again almost a death sentence for them. Here you have Jonas dropping, and again Alvarado helping on the drive, but this time the chaser is not Brandon Ingram. It's one of the best defenders in the league, with that being Herb Jones Jr. The low man for the Pelicans can't tag here because Johnson is the spacer, and again, Paul is the level of passer he is, would probably make that skip pass, leaving Valanciunas basically 2v1 against one of the best pick and roll operators in the league and a finisher who finishes 80% around the basket. It is a nightmare for any drop cover center, and after a Chris Paul ball flake leaves Jonas choosing to take the roller instead of Chris Paul in this situation, Paul knocks down another mid-range jumper in the clutch. Here, the Pelicans, similar to the first play, try to ice or force Chris Paul baseline. Paul, for basically his entire career, has been known as the godfather for snaking the pick and roll in these situations. Here, Paul has very little room to operate because Alvarado is again digging at the nail, this time a hard dig. Paul again moves poor Jose out of the way by eyeing a shooter, and that creates enough space for him to knock down his signature mid-range pull-up. This is the third possession he's done it in a row, absolutely blazing. On the fourth play, Paul is left completely on an island with a slower-footed big. This is an absolute nightmare for the defense, and as he should, Paul takes advantage, knocking down, again, his signature mid-range jumper. The previous plays were all examples about how deadly Paul's manipulation in combination with his mid-range jumper is, but the last play and the play that virtually ended this game showcased Paul's most advanced ability, which is his passing. Here, after an offensive rebound, Paul eyes a cutting Mikal Bridges, and again, Jose is the one who has to pick up here. He's just getting abused. This is hilarious. Then Paul slings a cross-court skipper with full accuracy to the shooter that Jose is tagging off of. This leads to a Jay Crowder 3, which offers as the dagger to Game 3 of this Western Conference first round series. Paul goes up 2-1 and showcases why the idea of him being the third best player in this series is completely ignorant. Even at 36 with his athleticism stat, Paul once again showed why he is the point guard. I don't wanna cry to you no more. I'm waiting for the plug.